it's that time once again. I have asked you to send me your stupidest, daftest, silliest redstone ideas via Twitter, and you have responded in your thousands. So I've picked out 10 that I'm going to be showing you guys in this video. The first one comes from Aham Shafiq, who has asked me to build a reclining sofa. Now I have to say, this was actually a little bit more difficult than I was expecting, but here is a sofa right here. It looks pretty good. We can kind of sit on it. It's pretty massive, but if we flick this lever down at the bottom, you can see the sofa actually reclines, and we now have ourselves a kind of bed area that we can lie down on. And then if we want to pop it back up into the form of a sofa, we flick the lever once again and everything pops back up. Now if we actually take a look at what's going on here, it's quite an interesting little mechanism. You can see the pistons have to extend, retract, then double extend, and then double retract, pulling those blocks down. And if we flick the lever once again, we get extension and push it up. It's like quite a cool redstone circuit. Albin3 has asked me to recreate the oil leak in the camper van. So this is my T2 VW camper van, and just a couple months ago it decided to dump out all of its oil all at once straight out the dipstick, which is a really odd place to get a fuel leak. But this is a dramatic recreation. As you can see, it was pretty spectacular. Zane has asked me to build a large pair of teeth being brushed for 3 minutes on the dot and then have them shimmer like in a toothpaste ad. Now I have to say, 3 minutes seemed like a bit of a long time. That would actually take up half of this video, so instead I've gone for around about 3 seconds. But these are the teeth, here is the toothbrush out the front, and if we hit this button, you can see that everything starts kicking into action. There is the toothbrush moving back and forth, and then in the end, we get ourselves some very nice, shiny teeth. That's exactly like what we have in the adverts. Now, one thing that I'm wondering is, when Notch added redstone into the game, do you reckon he thought this sort of thing would be built? I'm going to say no. Saad Kabak, I hope I've said your name correctly, has asked me to build Infinity. Well, that was easy. Binary Dragon has asked me to build a machine that celebrates your arrival home by showering you in melon pieces and playing a little tune. Now this is a very specific request, but I've managed to build myself a little house. I actually really like the look of this thing, and if we take a step inside, it will kick into action. The only thing that I'm going to warn you about is that I'm not the most musical gentleman in the world, and my little tune doesn't exactly sound that good, does it? That's like something out of a horror film, but it works. This is good enough for me. William Fiverheight has asked me to build a 6-piston extender. Now this is quite funny because the day after he tweeted this, I actually did a video where I took on a Twitter challenge where I had to build large piston extenders, and one of those piston extenders was in fact this very nice 6-piston extender that I'm pretty proud of. It works incredibly quickly. Just check out how satisfying that retraction is. Speaking of piston extenders, Alpha ASX has asked me to build the most complex 1x1 piston door. Which for that one I'm going to use the 12 piston extender. In all honesty, I just want an excuse to show this thing off. Right now this thing is fully extended, and if we flick this lever down at the bottom here, you can see our door opens up. Takes a little while, but it does open up, and then it retracts the block 12 blocks backwards. Just using a really long chain of pistons. And we're there. Okay, so that was the opening, all done and dusted. Now the closing is a tiny bit faster, and as you can see, that kicks into action just using this lever, and eventually our block makes its way across and closes up the door. I love these things. I seriously do. Adrian has asked me to make a machine that decides whether your new ideas for redstone builds are useful or not. Now I've decided to make this a little bit more general so it judges all redstone contraptions from the community, and it functions on a simple yes or no question. Did Mumbo build it? If the answer is yes, then the chances are it's probably not that useful. I mean, a lot of the builds that I do are really quite daft, whereas if anyone else built it, then the chances are it's probably quite handy. I mean, a lot of the redstone community is smarter than me. I'm just one of the silly ones. Zan has asked me to basically make a railway crossing. You know where you have a train going across a road and then the barriers pop down and all the alarms kick in? Well, that's what I've created right here. So here is our rather lovely looking road. We've got grass on either side, and this is our massive train track that is going to be hauling trains right through the center. And if we just pop inside, you can see it's perfect. I mean, that's about as accurate as you can get. I just wish that the barriers on my local railway crossing popped up and went down that quickly. I'm often sitting there for like 10-15 minutes, it drives me insane. And for the final one of today's video, CRZ Alfie has asked me to make a working coin flip. Now I had lots of cool ideas for this one, None of them worked, so I ended up just going for a simple randomizer. Heads on the left, tails on the right, you hit the button, one of them lights up. Very, very uninspiring and not exactly the most interesting thing in the world. I had so many cool ideas, slime blocks that were going to be flipping around the sand and things like that, and I just couldn't get them to work. So I'm going to offer you guys up a bit of a challenge. I want you guys to try and create an awesome coin flipping machine that actually functions, and I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with. But for the time being, you've been left with this very boring and very uninteresting redstone contraption. And on that note, I think it's time to end today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, I can't even look at this thing. I'm gonna fall asleep.